Hello and welcome to our weekly IG Live. Today we're going to be talking with Mijha Godfrey. She's with Jambo Books. She's going to be getting on and joining us here in just a minute. We are going to be talking to her about the importance of diversity in children's books, which is something that's really important to us, and it's something that she knows a lot about. So she's going to be talking to us about why it's so important and also what they have to offer. Hello. Again, and then you should be able to get on here.
Thank you. It's so good
Hi.
to be here. I was
Hey, so
like,
good to
hands
see
were
you.
sweating because I didn't know how to work this. So I'm very glad to be here. Yes.
And yeah, but here you are. This is great. Now, tell me,
It's
I was hoping to
Mijha.
talk to you earlier because I wasn't sure
Yes,
how to
that's
pronounce your
perfect.
name. Can you say it for me? Mijha. Okay, I'm glad I said Mijha. And I was just saying that you're with Jambo Books. I'm so glad you could join us. I know we were going to do the test ahead of time, but since it's
I'm
11
for
or
it.
2 o'clock for you, I say we just go ahead and jump right into it, if that's all right. All right. And thank you for doing this. I know you said you hadn't done IG Lives before, so I
Well, at
appreciate
some
that you
point I
were
have
willing
to
to
join.
take the plunge and
At
do
some
one
point
with
I have
us.
to
We
join the
actually
rest
keep
of
it
the
really
world,
casual.
right? Like, I have to get into the 20th century, if not the 21st. So,
You know, listen, baby steps, right? And, the thing is, most people, I find that once you do one,
right,
then it's not a big
right.
deal. It
Okay,
seems like it will
cool.
be really difficult, and once you do one, it's actually pretty fun. Well, why don't we
Sure.
go ahead and jump in?
My
Please
name
introduce
is
yourself and
Mijha
also tell us
Godfrey,
about Jambo
and I
Books.
am the founder of Jambo Books. Jambo Books is a children's book subscription company, and what we do is we send our subscribers 2 or 3 books each month that are fiction books and star children of color as the protagonists of the story. We started in May 2018,
Wonderful. And
so
how long
we've
have
been
you been
going
doing
for a
that?
little bit now. I know, right? It
Coming
is
up on
exciting.
5 years. That's exciting. And has it turned out like you expected it to? I mean, I know you started this a while ago, and I should also say that I know this came out of your own family's situation, your love for reading together, because I know you said that you love to read with your children, and then you saw how there was so little diversity in children's books, and so you decided to do something about it. Why are stories such a
Sure.
powerful
So
way to pass on our
honestly,
values and to
I
teach kids about the
didn't
world?
realize how important stories were, honestly, before I had kids. And then I realized as I'm trying to tell my children very important things that they should know and care about and understand, they don't listen. But if I can couch it in a story, then that draws their attention because they're interested in the characters. They're interested in what happens. They can see parallels for their own lives. And so that's really what made me realize how important stories are, not just for kids, but for all of us. You know, even when you hear a politician talk and they try to break some really big policy down into some small bit about, you know, Joe living in, Pennsylvania. And that's because our minds wrap better around stories and remember stories better than just sort of being told things. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's such an interesting parallel. I hadn't thought about that even as adults, these stories are so powerful, and how, like you said, we
absolutely.
remember it better, and it also kind of moves us more when we hear something. And so when you saw this problem of diverse books, well, first of all, why is it so important? You're talking about how powerful stories are. Why is it so important to have the representation and
Well,
to have
I'm
diverse
very
children's books?
passionate
And
about
why
it
is that something that
because
you're so passionate
when
about?
I was a kid, I was very into history, right? So I was into those stories. And I was interested so much in sort of the slow creep of civil rights in this country for everybody, for Black people, for women, for Hispanics, for everyone. And I noticed, though, not so much as a child, but as an adult, that those stories, when they made it to books, were all about sort of struggle and hardship and how hard it was to be a Hispanic kid and how hard it was to be a Black kid. And for those of us who are minorities, that's usually not the totality of our lived experience, right? We enjoy pets, we enjoy grandparents, and we enjoy, and we maybe we don't want to go to bed or don't want to brush our teeth. And so I wanted my kids to be able to see stories that didn't just make them have to be a unit of struggle, but that recognized them as kids who are whimsical. And I wanted them to be able to have that foundation of childhood, so that if, when they grow up and they decide they want to fight the power, they can have a foundation of love and a foundation of knowing that they are normal. So one problem that I was really having with the books that my children had were that books that were about summer and dragons always included just white kids. And I was like, oh, hold on, we get summer. Some of us like dragons. Like, where are we, right? Like, I don't want them to think that it's abnormal for kids of color to have regular lives, right? And so I wanted them to know that you can bloom right here. A lot of the stories that featured kids of color happen in other countries, and you should know about other countries. But you should know that that's not the only place where you can thrive, where you belong. You belong right here in Atlanta, right there in Boston, wherever it may be, and you can bloom there because that is where you're planted, and you should be able to feel like this is mine too. Yes.
I love that. And like you said, Jambo Books is really all about joy. I know that you take a lot of time even in just the packaging.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is really beautiful. It's joyful. Like you said, the joy of childhood. And you're right. It seems like for so long, a lot of the diverse books have been about struggle, whether it's about civil rights or slavery, or you're talking about the Holocaust or internment camps. And like you said, that's not the totality of people's lives. And I'm curious, as a kid, did you ever were you aware of this as a kid? I think you said that it was more like later that you discovered that. Was there like an aha moment when you were
Mm-hmm.
like, wait a minute, how come there's no Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe,
Honestly,
with other,
no,
did you
not
have a
as a
moment like
kid. I
this, or was it
really
kind of just
didn't.
a
I just
gradual
sort of
awareness?
accepted things the way they were. Like, I would never say a bad word about Harriet the Spy because that was my girl. That was my favorite. But, there was no Black Harriet the Spy. And now we have Jada Sly, um, Artist and Spy, right? So she's not a whole series, but she's a really cool book, and that's a little Black girl. One of the conversation starters that we have at Jambo, because Jambo means hello, and so what we're really hoping to do is get people talking, get people having conversations about literature, about themselves, about their lives, so that we can turn down some of the otherness and sort of learn what we have in common. And so one of our conversation starters is, how old were you when you first read a fiction book with a character who looked like you? And, some people, like for me, I think it was Their Eyes Were Watching God. So I was around 14 years old. And that's just not the case for a lot of kids who were in the majority, right? Like their very first book, you pop it open and there you go. So that's why it was really important to me to say, we got to find other things. And I couldn't find it, so we started it.
Well, so I'm curious about that. Well, one, I'd love to know, how do you go about deciding what books to put in the subscription box? And is it hard to find? I mean, now you've been working kind of in this space for, you said, almost 5 years. Is it hard to find those books? I know you said as a parent it was, but now that you're kind of know more about the industry and what books are out there, do you find it difficult to find books that are about these kind of everyday, regular thing, like the joyful books? Has it gotten any easier? Do you see there being, because I think there is more focus on diverse books now. Do you see that that's having an effect,
It's
that there are more books
definitely
available,
easier
or
than
is
it
it
was, of
still
course,
something
when
you
I was
really
a
have to
kid.
seek
And I
out?
do see some progress sort of as Jambo has been running. But I will tell you that it's hard finding certain areas of books, right? So board books. I'm always telling the publishers that I work with, send me board books, please. It's hard to find board books with kids of color in it. And I also like to really try to bring in as many different backgrounds as I can, right? So, I want to find board books that have South Asian kids and East Asian kids and Hispanic kids and, Middle Eastern kids. I want to find all of those, and they're not very easy to find. Board books are definitely the hardest thing to find. Picture books have gotten so much better. There's so many more, and that's fantastic. And then the middle grade books, skipping over chapter books for a second, the middle grade books are outstanding. They are better than when I was a kid. I enjoy reading them, and I'm a full-grown adult, but I really enjoy reading a lot of these middle grade books. And then the chapter books, we're definitely making a lot of progress, but one thing I find is, happily, a lot of them are series. So for me, I'm not trying to send people a whole series. I'm trying to pick and just expose my readers to a lot of different things. So sometimes I have trouble with the chapter books. So more chapter books, please. And surprisingly, more boys, please. I try to sort of balance it with boys and girls. And so many of the books that are written for and about diverse kids or kids of color are about girls, which is outstanding. But I try to send some boy stuff too. So help me out, please.
So interesting. I didn't realize that. And also, now that you mentioned about the board books, I hadn't thought about that as being an area where there really is not, or I would say if I've seen diverse board books, they're one of those like global where they kind of include a lot of different kids, not ones that are like, not like a board book specifically about, say, like a Hispanic kid. It would be like one where they show a lot of different kinds of diverse kids, which is also nice, but I haven't seen ones
so
that
I will
like
do ensembles sometimes,
specific
but
groups.
I really try to back away from ensembles that are, again, showing kids in different countries, because I really want to kind of like, you are here and that is fine, right? You belong here. You don't have to be in a different country to belong. But yeah, those are the hardest ones. And I would say also that the glut of books that are about animals and inanimate objects, those do make it a little hard too, because I'm like, it can't be an alien or a button or a cow that's the main character. It's got to be a child. So it does. It really, really does.
Yeah, that does narrow it down quite a bit. I'm thinking about when, especially my oldest was little, almost all of our books were about trucks.
And I was so happy to find a book called Love is a Truck that's like about a little brown boy. And I was like, I will be sending this out.
So I'm curious, you said that you work with publishers. So how does that actually happen? So you have certain publishers you work with, and then they kind of show you their catalog and you pick which ones you want to put in, or
with a lot of publishers who happily have reached out to me when they see that, Jambo Books is a real going concern. And they will send me their catalogs, and then I ask them, because I read all the books before we send them out. So I ask them for a sample, either online or physical. Honestly, I prefer online because my office is full of books. I can't store anymore. So I prefer to read the books all the way through, and then, I'll let them know which ones I would like to put in. Now, one problem that we have, and I don't want to say that this is just with books with kids of color as characters, but the printings are so short and so small that I might read a book in January and put it on my, schedule for, let's say, June. By June, it's out of print. And I'm like, what? Does anybody have it? Can I call the author? Maybe they have some in their basement, because then I've got to kind of scramble to find something else to fit in that slot when it was a book that was really great.
So why do you think that's because
What?
they
No,
think it's not going
because
to be
it's
as
not always small
popular, or
publishers. Sometimes
is
it's the
there
big
smaller
ones.
publishers?
And,
Why do you think
it's
it
only my guess that they think maybe they're not going to be able to sell as many of them. But I can't tell you how many times, I go to my distributors and I'm like, this is what I want. And they're like, out of print. And I'm like, ugh. So, yeah.
Ah, it's interesting. I didn't know about that. And I know you're talking, so you don't have time to read the comments, but I'm handling that for you. But I wanted to point out, let's see, Weber's in Africa says, can you get a subscription internationally? I'm trying to get African books or just diverse books into the hands of my kids, and it is hard. Tell the publishers African kids need books about Africa. So to take the first question or the first part of
We are
that, do
able
you
to do
do
international
international
subscriptions,
subscriptions
but
or
I
is it
can't
just in the
offer free
US?
shipping internationally. That's the problem. And honestly, if you're able to do it, the shipping usually costs about the same amount as the box itself when we go internationally. But please email me or DM me if you're interested in African books, because I get a lot of people sending me books about kids in Africa, about African traditions, about Anansi, sending me those emails. So I will be happy to forward that information to you. Just contact me.
Yes, you hope you're listening. Weber's in Africa. Thank you for your comment. So send her a message after we're done. And just in general, do you just talking about the I don't know how much you know about this because I know you're dealing mostly in the US about publishing
I
industry
have
outside the
dealt with
or about
publishers
books
in
international.
India,
Okay.
in Italy, in the UK. If they can get me the books in a way that's affordable so that I can get them in the box, then I will 100% put those books in. But usually they're ones that aren't very specific to being in India or in, the UK. Well, the UK kind of looks like what we do here, but there's this great book called The Night Monster that's so cute about this little boy who's afraid of an owl, and his big sister helps him to get over that fear of owls with little letters. And I really love it. And it's a book that I wish I could send more, but I can't get it here now. So India. It's called The Night Monster.
And I'm sorry, where's that one from?
It's very sweet.
I hadn't heard of that one. And I also want to talk just generally about, so it's a subscription box, and I think you said it was a monthly box. When you saw this problem about the lack of diversity in children's books, what made you decide to do a subscription box? Why is that such a great
Well, the main
model as far
reason
as
for doing a
really
subscription
getting these
box is
books
I
into the
wanted to
hands of
be able
kids?
to do a set it and forget it for families. Because honestly, that's what I wanted for myself. I went looking for this box online. I wanted somebody to just send them to my front door, because the what's it called? The inspiration for this was the Dr. Seuss book club, which my father-in-law had bought for my daughter. And those were the books that were starting to really make me angry. So, there was one book in particular that was 100% supposed to be happening in the Middle East, and there was nobody Middle Eastern in the book. And I was like, I have had enough. And I really just wanted them to come to my door. Don't make me have to go out all the time. I'm a busy parent. So that is the main reason why we started subscriptions. And then we can give you a lot of different tastes of people from all over the world. And, when there are series, I can give you the first or the second of a series. And if your kid likes that, then you read all the Alvin Hoes, you read all the Weirdos, or, Jasmine Tamaguchi. I think that's right. So.
Yeah, well, and I love it. Like you said, I think there are so many parents that want this for their kids, but it is a lot of work because, like you said, they're not always readily available, or they're not the books maybe that you hear about all the time. You take all the work out of it. They just sign up, boom, comes to your door. That's so simple and easy. And I know you take so much care in what you're putting into the box. I know you put a lot of thought into that, so that just makes it easier for the parents. And let's see, just looking at the time because I want to be respectful of your time, and we're coming up on 20 minutes. And for everybody watching, which we appreciate you got everybody tuning in, I just want to finish up by saying, do you have any favorite books? You've mentioned a few of them, but do you have any other favorite books you'd like to tell people about, or are there any
Sure.
publishers that you think are doing a great job that you want to give a shout out to?
Great work. Everything is so good. Also, you know, from a lot of the big ones are doing a good job. Scholastic's got some great stuff. Simon and Schuster, Penguin, Harper, they've all been putting out some really good books. I love Barefoot Books, which is a smaller publisher, and actually is the first publisher that got me thinking about this in this way with their books. It's about a little girl named Ruby, and oh my gosh, I was like, I need more books like this. I want my kids to be Ruby, because I have all girls, you know, and my oldest, and this is a little bit off topic, but my oldest was super into like mermaids and fairies, and I would get so frustrated because I'm like, they're not even real, and I can't find any with brown skin. Like, they literally all have to be either like white or purple or green. And I'm like, can we just slide some brown, some tan, some beige in? So, I mean, that's one thing that Barefoot, you know, did. And I really, really appreciated that. Some of my favorite books lately, I just finished Bye for Now, which is BHAI, which means brother, I believe in Urdu, and it's about these Pakistani-American twins, and it's essentially the Parent Trap, and it is so great. It like keeps you just, I want to keep reading. Are they going to run into each other? Ah! It's so, so good. So I would highly suggest that one. And gosh, there are just so many great books out there now, thank goodness, that we can share with our kids.
Well, for everybody who's watching, if you haven't tried the subscription box, go to the website, check it out. It's a really great service. They do such a good job.
Thank you.
And Mijha, thank you for taking the time to be on here.
Can I share one other thing real quick? Just something new that we're launching. It's called Jambo Community, which is really trying to help us live out the mission of Jambo to bring people together. You know, as I look at the map of our subscribers, so many of them live close to each other and probably don't even realize it. So the idea of Jambo Community is allowing Jambo former subscribers, current subscribers to meet each other in dedicated private Facebook groups and then decide, do you want to meet up? Do you want to get the kids together? Because a lot of these people are different backgrounds and sort of believe in the same sort of common core of things and could really start creating community so that we have not just allies, but also friends.
I love that, forming those real bonds with other people that have, like you said, they're from different backgrounds.
Yes, Jambo Community. Ideals. And you can sign up for that at jambobooks.com/community.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for all the work that you're doing, really making a difference in the lives of so many families. And thanks for everybody that joined in today. We will have this up. If you missed any of it, we'll have it up on Instagram in just a few minutes, and I'll get it up on our YouTube channel later today.
I don't know how to get
Thank you,
out.
Mijha.